Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I just want to play with something that's not already in my makeup basket. So I'm not reaching for minis, I'm not reaching for the Tartelette in Bloom, which is my Pan That palette. I'm using stuff that is newer to my collection. I did cash in 2,500 Sephora, whatever those points are called, and I received a $100 gift card for doing so. So with that, I did purchase 3 things from the website. I'll quickly go over them just to show you which ones those are. So one is from Charlotte Tilbury. I got the Feline Flick Liquid Eyeliner. I also picked up the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Moonstone. This is one I've been lusting over for a long time. And then the Pièce de Résistance YSL. This one was breaking my heart. It's the one that has like the little hearts on it. The packaging is just so gorgeous. This is one of the oil in stick, I think they're called. The Rouge Volupté Shine, whatever, it doesn't matter. I wanted this so badly. Like, I wanted this so badly, but it's like $45 and I just could not bring myself to actually make that purchase. So I picked it up for free. Now, all told, I did have to pay the tax on it, and my 3 items did go slightly over, so I ended up paying just under $30. I think it was like $29 and change out of pocket, but that's not bad for what I got. For items that I don't have anything you guys haven't already seen me use, I'm not going to show those on camera. So things like primer, contour shade, and mascara. But for the items that are newer, I'm going to show you and I'm going to talk about them. So let's do this. For primer, I used the Becca Velvet Blurring Primer. And for foundation, this is the most recent one to join my collection. It is the MAC Pro Longwear Foundation in the shade NC20. I wanted to try this for ages and finally purchased it when they had a sale on Boxing Day. So I've only used it a handful of times because I'm trying to focus on my samples. So I haven't been reaching for the full-size ones, so I'm kind of excited to use it. For a sponge, I've got one of those like velvety kind of sponges. This was from, I think it's called Juno Beauty. I ordered it online. I think this is the one that Nikki Tutorials was going on about. I don't know that it's like all that in a bag of chips. It's okay. I don't like dislike it, but I don't know. I like my ones from Shop Missy, the really cheapo ones. Like I said, I've only had an opportunity to use this foundation just a handful of times, like a couple of times, but I really do like it. I like the finish on it. It looks very natural. I would say it's sort of like a demi-matte. Like, it's certainly not full-on matte, but it's not particularly dewy either. It, for me, just sinks nicely into the skin. It doesn't sit on top. It offers medium coverage, which I can build up a little bit more if I want to or need to. But it's just a very nice, easy wearing, not fussy at all foundation. And it blends out beautifully. Sometimes I have a problem like blending around my nose or up in between my eyebrows. This one I don't experience that with, and I really like it. I also, at the same time as ordering the foundation, ordered the 24 Hour Smooth Wear Concealer, again in the shade NC20. And I've only used this one, I think, once or twice as well. I was a little concerned it was going to be too yellow, because it is quite yellow. But as it turns out, so am I. So it works out quite well. And it's nice and brightening as well, without being too like white based. The one thing I will say about this sponge is that I like that it has 2 different beveled edges to it. So there's a lot of sort of precision and variety there, which makes it a lot easier to get, especially in the inner corners of my eyes. I have a hard time with most sponges because they are like quite deep set on the inner corners there. But this makes it a lot easier. The The newest setting powder that I have is from Laura Mercier. This is the translucent setting powder. Again, this product's been around for ages, but I didn't get on board with it until I used a sample back in the fall, and then obviously bought the full size because I really do like how blurring and perfecting it is. I will say with this foundation, I really don't feel like I need to set it. Like I can't, it's not sticky or tacky at all on my skin. It's kind of habit for me to set it, but you know what? I think I'm just gonna not. Because I honest to God don't feel like I need to. It's not damp at all on my skin. It's just dried down beautifully, and it does not feel like it's gonna transfer at all. I like that. Use the Cali Contour Kit for the contour shade, and then I'm going to jump in with the bronzer next, because you've seen me use this thing a million times. For bronzer, I'm going to use the Freebie Chanel. If this is your first video of mine that you are seeing, I got this for free using Shoppers Drug Mart points, and I am still stoked about it. I think I will be talking about that for a long time. Because this was like a $60 bronzer that I did not have to pay for, so yay me. I've discovered that I like using it with this brush. This is from Real Techniques, and it's the contour brush, just because it's nice and precise, but it helps it blend out. I don't like using it with a sponge. It's too much effort. So I just run the brush in there and then just kind of dot it around, and then just get to blending. Okay, if you are fairer complected and you are looking for a bronzer and you don't mind investing in it, I really do recommend this. First of all, it smells absolutely heavenly. Like, it just smells so nice. I can't describe it. It's not coconut or anything like that. It smells like a high-end skin cream. Like, it just smells so nice. It blends beautifully, it lasts all day. It's just enough, like it's not orange. It looks quite warm in the pan, but it doesn't translate as being too warm and too orange on the skin. It gives that sun-kissed glow without being over the top. And it doesn't, it doesn't add any tackiness to your skin at all. So while it is a bit of a cream product, it's more like a cream to powder. I really do love it. I already have enough points saved up just from Christmas time to get $90 free stuff again from Shoppers. I won't go through this like probably within a year, but I would certainly use points again and pick another one up when this one does run out, because I really do like it. For blush, at the same time that I bought the foundation, I also picked up Melba. Again, it's been around forever. I am late to the game, but here it is. And it's just a nice matte peachy shade. Again, just adds a bit of warmth to the skin without being too obvious. I'm going to use Moonstone for my highlighter. I almost purchased this for myself around Christmas time and then thought, I really don't need another one. And then when I was able to get the $100 gift card, yep, I added it to the cart. And honestly, I've swatched out all of the Becca highlighters that I have, and this one is definitely my favorite. It's just the perfect shade for my skin tone. It doesn't add too much pinkness or peachiness, but it's also not, I have Pearl, and Pearl is a little harsh. I really like Pearl, on the inner corner, but as an actual face highlight, it has to be, dead of winter, and I didn't get much sun the summer before because it is just so white. But this one has just that little hint of gold under it, and it's super flattering, and I'm so happy I got it. I'm so happy. Okay. How are we going to tackle eyes? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime both eyes with good old MAC Paint Pot, and then I will probably do one eye and come back to recreate it for you. What I'm going to be using is the Huda Beauty, what the hell are these called? Metal and Matte Melted Shadows. This is, I've got Bubblegum and Silk Bomber on the other side. And then I also have the new Nude palette just to round it all out. So this is what I plan on using today. I shall be right back. So I went ahead and primed with the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, completely forgetting that there is like a primer type thing in this palette. So this is a cream product right here. Now it's called Concealed, but it's meant to be like a primer. I have used it in the past and it's quite functional. Like I didn't have any issues with it bunching up or creasing or anything like that, but I just completely forgot about it. All right. Clearly I did brows and then I have gone ahead and just fully completed this eye. I didn't use any of the glitters that are in this palette because I have to take Aspen to dance class tonight and I just don't feel like being that fancy at the dance studio. So that's why we kept it fairly simple. So I'll show you what I did and my thoughts on the process. So first up, I took a giant fluffy brush and I went into the shade Tickle right here and used that as a transition shade. And took it pretty much right up to the eyebrows. Not quite, but pretty darn close. Before going into any of the other shades, this is where I used the melted eyeshadow. Is that what they're called? Melted eyeshadow. I don't know why I keep having a brain fart over that. Used the darker shade here, which is Silk Bomber. Now, these dry insanely fast. Almost too fast. Like, the first time I used it, I was like, yeah, but you didn't blend. So just know that, like, if you pick these up, know that going into it, that you want to have your blending brush, like, literally in hand, because these dry so quickly. Do not try to do it 2 eyes at a time because it's not going to work. And I didn't even do it like both sides of the eye. I just sort of dabbed it on the outer portion of this side of the lid and then separately went over. You'll see, just hang tight. All right, should we bump this in a little bit more? There, we'll do that. Okay, so I've wiped off the excess on the inner lid of the tube. And then I'm just going to do a few dots around here. Not even going to take the time to put it back into the tube, and then I'm just going to start blending that out because it does, like I said, dry so fast. Yeah, like it's already dry. So you gotta work quickly with it. That's okay, I don't mind that, but I have to know it going into it because, like I said, the first time I used it it did not work out very well for me, we'll put it that way. For the inner portion, because I'm doing like a bit of a halo eye look, for the inner portion I used a brush from MAC, this is the 219, and I just sort of dabbed just the wand, just picked up some of the product on the brush because I didn't want to have to like put this into my eyeball basically, and then use that to dab where I wanted it, and again just blended with it. I tried to leave the center of my lid fairly blank, but I'm not like too terribly concerned about it. The nice thing about it drying so quickly is that it doesn't smudge around, so there is the silver lining to that aspect. Then, what did I do? Then I picked up a very precise brush here. This one's from Inglot. It's the 10S. and I grabbed the shade, just let me fold it back, Love Bite, which is this deep purple here. Just picked up a little bit on the sort of tip of the brush and just placed it into the outer and inner corners and blended it up into the crease a little bit. Then using that same shade with a flat liner brush, I put it along the lower lash line. To help soften that up, I used this brush here, which is the MAC 221, and I picked up this shade over here, which is called Spanked, and used that to blend out the darker shade. Then I went back to the Melted Shadow and used Bubblegum. Now this one doesn't have a doe foot applicator, this one is more of a brush. I guess the idea is that you can use it as a liner rather than just a shadow. Again, I didn't feel like doing anything too super fancy, so I didn't use it as a liner. I just dabbed it onto the center to add a little bit of shine to that halo. And again, I made sure that I had the brush in hand so that I could blend out the edges. The first time I tried this, I tried to blend it with my finger, and all that happened was it just clung to my finger and lifted off of my lid, so not the best way to go about it. I do use the brush first and then do a little bit of patting with my finger just so that any excess does get picked up, but finger is not the way to blend this particular product. Going back to this palette, I don't necessarily want this to be like a full, thorough review of this palette, but I will show the shades simply because we're talking about it. Again, there's the pressed glitter shades. I'm not using those today. And then these are sort of like a weird little hybrid. They're marbled and they really are beautiful. Like they have a nice foiled finish to them. So if you didn't have the melted shadows, these would work really beautifully for cut crease or halo eyes or any of that kind of deal. Now that I have them all over me, where the hell am I going to put them? The problem with them, the only downside to them is that to pick them up on a brush is a little bit difficult, so they do work best with a finger. And so getting it into the inner corner, because those are the only metallic foiled shadows that are in this palette, it's very difficult. So I'm not going to use this palette for that. You could, if you like a matte highlight, you could just use this shade here. It is very cream colored. It is called Base, so it's not going to add a lot of brightness, but if you have a deeper skin tone, it would act as a brightener of sorts. So for me, I'm just going to go back into Moonstone and use that for the inner corner and the brow highlight, simply because I find that this palette's lacking in that regard. For my lower waterline, I used a pencil from Urban Decay. This is in the shade Alkaline. It's just a nice matte, plummy, purpley kind of color. And just put that in there. And then for my actual liner, I used the Charlotte Tilbury Feline Flick. It's a nice felt tip liner here. There's a good amount of stiffness, although the edge, like the final tip, is a bit flexible so it doesn't hurt. But the base of it is nice and stiff, so it's not just like wobbling all over the place. Again, this is my first time using it, so this is very much a first impression. I'm always nervous using a new liner. It's kind of like meeting a new dog. For the most part, you think they're going to be completely fine, but you've had experience with like one dog who ruined it for everybody. It was just an asshole. There's always that one like asshole liner out there that makes you a little bit nervous about all the other ones. so far, I mean, I managed to do this and I was fine, so we're okay. The liner applies nice and smoothly, and it's not, like, it's dry already, so it's not transferring up, which is nice because this portion of my lid does hang over a little bit, and sometimes with really liquid liners, it will transfer up and it'll feather, and it's just a hot damn mess. It did have some difficulty applying over that lighter shade. I think it may just be the nature of this shade because it is a little bit more textury than the other shadows, so I don't place blame on the liner. But it is nice and matte, it is very opaque, and overall it is quite easy to use, so I am happy with this purchase. I just used the Unlimited mascara from L'Oreal. I've talked about this one a few times. Hate the packaging, love the product. And there we go. Those are the eyes done. Last thing to do are lips. I don't know that this is really going to go with this eye look, nor is the other one that just arrived. I ordered this from Beauty Bay around Christmas time, and it took a while to cross the ocean from England to Canada. This one is from Colored Rain. It's the shade 24/7. Again, this is the YSL in shade 12. It's just a nice, bright, corally shade. Oh my god, these lipsticks smell so good. Oh, they smell so good. I don't think that this is the right color for today, though. So let's try the Colored Rain, because I haven't actually tried it on yet. I think it's a little dark for this eye look, but Barry is actually on his way home with the kids, and then I have to pack Aspen up and get her to dance class, so it is what it is for the purposes of this video. This formula is really nice so far. I mean, obviously I've only had it on for like 15 seconds, but it applied really smoothly. It is drying down. It's not sticky at all, which is something that I value in a liquid lipstick. Can't even remember if it had a smell. I just applied it. A very light, sweet scent to it, but nothing overpowering at all. It's a nice product, so hopefully the longevity is there. Alright guys, there you have it. Overall, got some good products here. I do. I do like the new nude. Like I think it's a really pretty everyday palette with the additional, you know, pressed glitters that can take you from day to night and all that good stuff. I think rather than putting in this base, like this creamy base, an inner corner highlight shade would have been a nicer option, or at least more practical for me. But overall, it is a beautiful, beautiful palette. These tones really speak to me. I have hazel eyes, which tend to lean a little bit more on the green side. So whenever I use pinks and purples, it really does play up the green in them. So this is a palette that really does flatter my particular eyes. But it is very nice, and it does, I mean, the shadows blend beautifully and all of that good stuff as well. I did have one of the other shades on my like favorites list or loves list at Sephora. I've taken it off after using this because I don't like them all that much. I like this end, I don't really like the shimmery end to them. So they're not terrible, they're really not, but I can't see myself getting a ton of use out of it. I will continue to use this one, especially in conjunction with this palette, but I'm not going to purchase any other ones. So there you have it. I'm going to wrap it up here because I don't really know what else to say. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.